Hi, I'm Kenny Anderson, Director of Multicultural Affairs for the City of Huntsville, and welcome to Impact. Each week we bring you information about exciting things that are happening right here in our community, and today will be no different. You know, the Pew Research Center talks a lot about the current generation of people in our society as it relates to religion. And far too many times there is a growing category of individuals called the nones, people who are not affiliating with churches. And some of the reasons that they give include things like the church doesn't have relevance to them and that the church does not meet their needs. Well, I'm glad to say that that's not the case here in the city of Huntsville, that there are churches and faith institutions that are doing just that. And we want to talk about one of those initiatives today. Pastor Debleaire Snell is Senior Pastor at First Seventh-day Adventist Church. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you so much for having us.
It's good to have you here today, and we want to talk about an initiative that you launched at your church called Life University, something that has generated a lot of interest and excitement and really has galvanized the population of people within the congregation as well as in the community, touching on various issues. Talk a little bit about what Life University is and how you got it started.
Well, Life University is kind of a concept that we developed several years back. And it just kind of grew out of our awareness that people have, specific needs that are not always met kind of just in a sermonic format, but they need to be kind of catered to in a very acute and really very detailed and direct way. And so what we do for 9-week semesters is what we call them, is we divide the church up into 8 to 10 different life groups that deal with specific areas of life, from family to finances to parenting, those things that are right there on the ground, things that we experience every day, whether you're a person of faith or whether you're a person that's not really an individual of faith. These are things that still are matters that you're going to have to address. And so our whole goal with Life University is to equip people with the tools to be able to thrive in those various departments of life in a way that's successful, fruitful, and it's just kind of our way of trying to help lift that burden that everybody has to deal with.
Yeah, and you of course are right smack in the center of being a leader in the faith community with a church that's a relatively large church and a church that's on the move, making lots of things happen, and constantly assessing the climate of the community and trying to understand and meet and match the needs of people in the community. What types of things drive you? Because I know you talk to people in the community, you get a lot of feedback from people in the congregation, and you also have a pretty clear sense on your own as to what direction you'd like to see the church move in.
Well, I mean, I think the first point, churches are not in place to serve people of faith. Churches were established, to serve communities, to serve neighborhoods. And so our goal is to really be incarnational in the area where we serve in the northwest part of the city of Huntsville. And so our goal is to, of course, to be able to introduce people to Jesus Christ, but really in a way that has no strings attached, to be able to serve the residents of our area wherever they are. And so, it's a really tremendous kind of relationship that's developed with our community, whereas we kind of pour into them and kind of assess and kind of meet their needs. They kind of really do a tremendous job of just kind of supporting whatever it is that we try to lay out.
And a lot of churches, for lack of a better term, and I'm certainly not trying to be critical in any way, but a lot of churches collect canned goods at Thanksgiving time. They collect clothing during the winter. They may have a picnic of some type during the summer. And then the boxes get checked and they're relatively done. Now, of course, churches have varying degrees of resources and commitment and interest and things like that. But really, the ministry of a faith community should go well beyond specific seasons and days. And it should really cover the spectrum of the year, because people have needs throughout the year. And those needs are real. And they aren't just always met in a sermon. They aren't always met in a choir singing a song or even a worship experience. When somebody comes to a house of worship and then they go home, they're dealing with serious issues. They're dealing with domestic violence. They're dealing with hunger. They're dealing with homelessness. Even though they may have come to church, they may not have a place to live. And so it's important for people to focus on those kinds of things and maintain an awareness of those things.
Yeah, and I think one of the challenges that a lot of churches have is that, kind of community service tends to be event based. So it kind of revolves around a particular season or time of the year or gathering. And kind of sometimes those tend to kind of meet the needs of said congregation more than the community itself. And so I think that, one of the things that our involvement has to be based upon is the actual data that is coming from our community. So like every church has to be able to infiltrate the community in a way that is meaningful and relevant for said community. So each group kind of has their own core values or sacred cows, for lack of a better word, but those can't be the things that drive the agenda. There has to be a very clear-cut intentionality and dedicated effort to kind of finding out, what are the needs of a given community. So if I'm kind of itching on my shoulder, but you scratch me on my arm, you haven't really helped me a whole lot. And so it's a very simple approach to trying to serve people. And so, in the city of Huntsville, there are a number of different challenges that are not just unique to us, but you mentioned domestic violence, right where our church is located. Homelessness is a challenge. I mean, something even as simple, Kenny, as hunger. You would think that in an evolved, educated, city like Huntsville, that wouldn't be something that we deal with. But on a regular basis, we encounter people that are just in crisis because, especially in the winter months, when these utility bills get very high, people begin to prioritize. And the last thing they begin to kind of budget is just food, just because they're trying to figure out how we're going to make it. And we encounter single parent families, entire families that are saying, can you just help us with just being able to eat for the remainder of this week? And so, from issues arising out of, education or lack thereof, fatherlessness is something that we're trying to confront, in our own way and in partnership with other agencies in the city. So, I mean, the human needs are they're more pronounced now than ever before. And so I think every church and every congregation has to be able to do whatever they can to brighten the corner where they are, but also kind of create a partnership kind of across the lines, because we're all stronger together than we are individually.
Yeah. So Life University kicks off when?
Oh, yeah, we're excited
Where?
about Life University. Starts March the 9th through May the 4th. And so these groups will be meeting on Wednesday nights for this 9-week stretch, starting at 7:00 p.m. And if you don't mind, I'll just share a little bit of kind of what those groups are. We have a gentleman, Jason Thomas. He's going to be talking on the subject Future Family Finance. And through his seminars, he's been able to help many families get their college loans paid off, their houses paid off, those principles of debt elimination that are huge during our time. We're excited to have Mr. Kenny Anderson. He's going to lead a group. It's entitled Emotional Liberation. And it's funny because even in a church setting, there is a major spiritual component that needs to be met. But then we're all people, and we have layers to us. And those emotional challenges need to be met in a way that is, again, beyond just the memorization of a scripture verse. Danella and Derek Knight are going to do a seminar entitled The Fight of Your Life. And it's talking about how to have victory in marriage. So again, whether you're married, whether you're a person of faith, whether you're not, the same challenges overlap in the marital context. And they have some really creative ways to kind of help that need be met. Dr. Donna Scott is going to be kind of doing a segment entitled Grief Support. Loss is just a part of the human reality. Doesn't really care what tax bracket you're in. Tragedy never makes an appointment, never says, I'll stop by, Tuesday at 6. It just strikes us suddenly. And then there are pieces that need to be picked up well beyond kind of the funeral moment. There's a cycle of grief, and she'll be talking about that in a really powerful way. And Melanie Gurley is going to be leading a group called the Confident Job Seeker Employment. Even though things are better than they were, it's still a serious challenge for a lot of people. And she's going to talk about some skills to kind of help you distinguish yourself from the masses, because when you go into any job interview, you're rarely just the only one or the only candidate. You're there amongst many people that are hungering and excited about an opportunity. But, she's going to be talking about how you can stand out in that regard. And so that'll be from March the 9th through May the 4th. That'll be 9 Wednesday nights. It's going to be an amazing time. People just pour in, people that would not normally come through a church door through an invitation or receiving something in the mail. People always respond to a specific need. And when there's a need being met, you don't even have to advertise it big time. People just figure it out, and just intrinsically, they just find it. And so it's an exciting time. And we invite anybody in the Huntsville community that has any of these particular needs to come and be a part of it. There is no registration fee. There's no cost. You don't have to be of a particular faith, belief, or value system. Just come in, and we want to love on you and help you get these needs met.
And this is really great too, because one of the things that I constantly hear, and this is maybe the third or fourth cycle of Life
Yes.
University that you've done.
Yeah, we've been doing it now since I think wow, time's going fast, since 2013.
Yeah.
And we've been doing it once a year, but this year we'll actually do 3 semesters of Life University. So this will be the first of 3.
Okay, fantastic. So people really have an opportunity to get and gain advantage of lots of different information about a
Yes.
lot of things that are going on, and really kind of look forward to taking care of those things across the course of the spectrum for the year. I think it's real interesting because
I'm sorry, I left out a really important group, especially in times when we're living in. George and Linda Bartholomew, they are cancer survivors, and they're going to be leading a cancer support group for those that are kind of dealing with it currently, for those that have come through it. And there are a lot of challenges that's not just that are beyond the physical ailment. There's kind of a financial kind of challenge that comes along with it. It's kind of how family rebounds and recovers from it. And so they're going to walk families and individuals through that. And we really expect that to be a transformative group during that series.
Yeah, let me tell you a couple of things that I think really stand out about Life University. Number one, it happens on a Wednesday night, which is routinely a Bible study, a prayer study night. And it's a little bit different for some people. So not only do they get a chance to engage in those things, but they also get a chance to walk away with information that they can use in the moment. So they can actually begin the journey towards wholeness and healing almost immediately. And then the facilitators that you have, oftentimes people see the pastor and they think that the pastor has it all straight. And although we know that that's not necessarily the case, we kind of see them as the person, the vehicle through which the word, the message comes, and they don't really understand where I am. But you've identified people who have been in the trenches, that have had certain experiences in life, that can now connect with other people. So it's kind of a peer-to-peer relationship process as well that has the potential to have a lot of power in transforming people's lives.
Yeah, and I think kind of when dealing with certain kind of aspects of life, I think experience kind of is what kind of gives kind of a certain subject or leader credibility to kind of speak on it. And so, in my life, of course, there's theological training, there's my own life experience, but that's narrow. But within kind of our congregation and in our community, we have people that have tremendous wealths of information, great training, but they also have experience, an experiential perspective that they're able to bring to these groups. So they're not really just kind of saying this from a theoretical standpoint, or this is what I heard, or this is what the statistics say, but they're saying this is kind of what I've walked through, and they're communicating with a huge deal of credibility that impacts. So I think there's kind of more than just a transfer of information. Hearts are just being knit together through the experience or the shared experience of Life University.
Yeah, Pastor, we got about 2 minutes left in the broadcast, but I know that you're also an author. This is a leap year. We're really excited about that. And one of the things that you came into this year very excited about was an opportunity to share something tangible with people in terms of that process. And you've written a book called Leap Year.
Sure. Yeah. Toward the end of last year, it's funny. I was sharing with you a story. I was flying out of the Bronx, New York. I was flying past Shea Stadium, and just as we were hitting 10,000 feet, I was looking along my calendar, and I realized 2016 was a leap year. This was around September. And from there, I was just really inspired to kind of really put this book together. What it is, it's a 21-day kind of journey to the year you've been waiting for. And so it's written in 4 components. There is reframing, there's restructuring, then we talk about the necessary leaps people need to take, and then we talk about what it means to follow through, so that in fact, 2016 in fact becomes a year unlike any other year you've gone through. I think most of us, when we get to a certain age in life, when we begin to measure our years or really study them, all of the years start to look a lot alike. We kind of plateau or peak to a certain extent once we reach a certain age. And so leap year is designed to just really give you the tools in a very simple, practical way to be able to kind of release the dreams from the prison of your mind, to allow those visions to really materialize in reality. And so it really doesn't matter where you are in your walk of life. We talk about things from getting organized to how to be inspired, how to live a life that is filled with gratitude, how to follow through, how to kind of manage your distractions. All of those things kind of keep us, in a place where we're not really progressing. But we talk about it in a very practical way, how to move through that. For those of you who like the hard copy, like to have it in hand, it's not real unless you have it in your hand, you can pick that up in our church office, 1303 Evangel Drive, or you can call 256-852-8360. And it's also been published as an ebook. And so you can pick it up on Amazon.com. If you download the Kindle app, you'll be able to pick it up there as well.
All right, so it's accessible to lots of people.
Yes.
And once again, Life University begins when?
That'll begin on March the 9th, and that'll go through May the 4th, and that'll be Wednesday nights, and that'll be from 7 to 8 o'clock p.m. It's only an hour, but man, it'll be the best investment of an hour that you can in a week's time. It's going to be a transformative experience. I mean, it's going to change the trajectory of somebody's life. I just really encourage the whole Huntsville community to come out and be a part.
At First Seventh-day Adventist Church.
First Seventh-day Adventist Church, 1303 Evangel Drive.
All right, fantastic. Pastor Debleaire Snell, he's the senior pastor of First SDA Church, and we thank him for sharing that great information with us today. We're looking forward to a transformational journey throughout this year.
Thank you.
All right. I want to thank you for being a part of our conversation today as well, and we hope that you'll tune in for our next edition of Impact. We also want to invite you to like our Facebook page at Impact with Kenny Anderson, where we post videos of the shows as well as other behind-the-scenes images of what goes on right here while we're taping. We hope that you have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to you again soon. Have a great day.